So she switched schools. I'm not surprised, are you? What's up, y'all? It's your boy Pascal back at it again with another pop-up video. Be sure to follow me on all my social medias. The Pascal Show, one word. Hit that like button down below. Let's not forget to crush that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on Facebook, make sure you crush that follow button on my Facebook page if this is your first time checking out this channel right here. Yeah, anyway, we got to jump into this. We have not talked about Idaho 4 in quite some time. And the reason why I'm bringing up this story, not only because it's interesting information, but also today marks the 1-year anniversary, the day that these 4 young students who had so much to live for had their lives taken by a monster. Some people speculate that there was more than one person. We still have not gotten a full answer of what really happened inside that house. All right. But November 13th, 4 students lost their lives. Now, they do have somebody by the name of Bryan Kohberger as the alleged monster who did this thing. People are still wondering, did he do this alone? Did he have help? How did he do all this? Especially with all the lack of evidence that is out here right now. People are leaning on DNA. People are constantly talking about DNA, genealogy stuff, okay, all day long. And it's been quite the conversation piece, okay? It's quite the topic out here in these streets. But one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about is that what about the survivors, right? There are 2 survivors that did make it out of that terrible, nightmarish house that night. One of them happens to be Dylan Mortensen. Now, Dylan Mortensen was in one of the rooms. She allegedly, according to the probable cause affidavit, she's the one who saw this shadowy figure with, donned in all black, had a mask over his face, and all she could see is bushy eyebrows, right? As he walked right by her and ran out the sliding glass doors. Now, there's been so many different stories. There have been rumors running around saying that she saw a naked man running out the door, that she saw. I mean, there's so much ridiculous rumors running out here in these internet streets about what she actually saw. And of course, I say we got to wait, until there's an actual trial, until they actually bring her in as a key witness, until we actually hear it from her own mouth herself. I feel like we need to kind of chill on all the crazy speculations that have been brewing for the last year. All right. But one of the things that I found interesting is that her stepmother, I guess her ex-stepmother to be correct, spoke out and is telling people, or at least told this article, New York Post, that Dylan Mortensen has moved on she transferred schools. She left University of Idaho. And let me tell you something. I don't blame her. I would do the same doggone thing. Why would I go matriculate at the same school that I literally survived, right? That also harbors so many nightmarish memories. I wouldn't want to be there every single day. I feel like it would be PTSD all day long. Everything would be triggering for me. That's just my personal opinion. So if I wasn't liking the school, after this whole situation, if this whole situation happened to me, man, I'd be chucking up 2 fingers, deuces, I'm out. I'm just being real. So I don't blame her for wanting to leave. But she's saying that she was experiencing some survivor's guilt, and which is inspired her to switch schools. Again, I don't blame her. Let's take a look at this article, okay? A year after the tragedy of 4 University of Idaho students, the roommate who came face to face with the cold-blooded monster but was spared has transferred colleges and is struggling with survivor's guilt, according to her stepmother that told the Post, the article I'm reading here, in her first comments. Now, Patricia Munroe said Dylan Mortensen is doing quote-unquote okay since BK, I call him BK, allegedly took the lives of these 4 University of Idaho students. Dylan Mortensen's stepmother continues saying, there's a lot of guilt because, if someone says, oh, well, Dylan was so lucky, you don't want to take on that luck because all of the children deserved luck. They all deserved to be spared from that. And this is what Dylan Mortensen's stepmother said. And let me say this too, let's not forget, not only is it PTSD that she would be experiencing, just reliving, rehashing every single day, the nightmare that she just lived through, that she survived through. Let's not forget every single time that she would go into any type of any classroom, any building where she has to go to school and go to classes for, all the looks, all the whispering, all the rumors, all the stares, the people asking you so many questions, I'm sure, especially the ballsy ones. You know what I'm saying? The bold ones that will come up to you and go, what were you doing in that time? You see what I'm saying? Imagine all of that every single day being looked at in this kind of, like, you're like the sideshow freak. You see what I'm saying? It's not a great feeling. So for her to leave, I get it. I totally get her transferring. But I will also say that I wouldn't be surprised that people would be asking those questions, because there's still a lot of questions that we still don't know. There were several hours after this tragedy went down where there was no 911 call made. There were allegedly text messages that were going on between Dylan and the other surviving roommate, Bethany. You see what I'm saying? There were so many different things that were going on that still have not been answered. So many blank spaces that have not been filled out. And a lot of them could be answered by Dylan and Bethany. So I know that there's going to be a lot of people wondering what the hell happened, especially all those students. And then on top of it, all the rumors. I said rumors earlier, but I'm saying the other rumors. That people talking about this being a trap house and all this crazy stuff. Some of these rumors have gotten wild enough to say that these two students, these 2 girls, Dylan and Bethany, were involved in the unaliving. It's that insane. And there's no proof that we know of so far to show us that they're connected to this at all in that way. Right? So I don't blame her for moving on, for moving to another school. Let's continue. One piece of information we should know, okay? Dylan Mortensen's stepmother, Munroe, okay, Patricia Munroe, was married to her father, Brent, okay, helped raise her from the time she was 7 years old up until her graduation from high school. So she raised her for a good long time. For a good long time, okay? She and Brent have since gotten divorced, but she insisted she is still very aware of the situation of what Dylan's doing and how she's doing. We are all still wondering, okay, frozen shock phase. She jumps back into her bedroom, locks the door, was in frozen shock phase, and then she was in frozen shock phase until several hours later, and that's when a 911 call was made. Again, a lot of people are wondering, what the heck is that all about? What does that mean? All right. So they say, for reasons still unknown, she and Bethany, the other roommate who survived the attacks as well, didn't call the police until around noon the following day, according to Idaho investigators. And of course, like I said, what I just said earlier, a lot of people are wondering what's up with those hours. What happened between those times? Apparently there was allegedly there were phone calls text messages or contacts to other students on the University of Idaho campus, but not to 5-0. And I know a lot of us are still wondering why, right? And of course, yes, she has been called everything from, a monster to a deal of chemicals, okay, all the way down to transgender as well. It's been insane. You remember that stuff? Quite a year we have gone through in this case. I challenge anyone in a position where they wake up to 4 of their roommates gone and, not even realizing it, she continued. People have to understand that these children are very young. They're just young kids. And it's just a really traumatizing thing. I think that people need to have compassion. There needs to be a space in time for all details to come out in trial. Yes, I totally agree. People have to understand that these children are very young. They're just young kids. And it's just a really traumatizing thing. I think that people need to have compassion. There needs to be a space in time for all details to come out in trial. Yes, I totally agree. I completely agree with that. But that also makes me wonder, is she saying, what is she alluding to? Is she saying that that maybe Dylan was under the influence? I mean, when I see something like this, where she says, okay, not even realizing it. Okay. When they wake up to 4 roommates gone and, not even realizing it, you can reinterpret that into several different categories. Either she woke up, didn't know, right? Just saw the guy walk by. She went back to sleep. There was no real fear of any type. Just a dude walking out of the building, out of the house. Or she was under the influence of something, so she didn't really realize because she was, feeling pretty high, high and mighty, feeling good, or anything of that sort. But again, those are the questions I guess I'd be asking when it comes to this whole situation. But then I also hear through, other grapevines and all that Dylan Mortensen has been literally just keeping a very low profile, just gaming online and just kind of keeping to herself. And again, I don't blame her. Let's be real. She got out of there by the skin of her teeth. Same with Bethany. They both are very lucky. I hate to say it like that, but they are very lucky that he didn't go after and just take over the entire house. So understandably, it's totally understandable that they have some sort of survivor guilt. Now, one of the other things I will say, and I've heard this a while ago about Bethany, okay, because I know a lot of us are wondering what's up with Bethany, what happened with Bethany. She's been keeping a very low profile. Let me blow this up for you guys. Very low profile, and lives in Nevada. I heard that a while ago. I mean, this was months after this massacre went down. She moved on. She transferred quick. She wanted to get away from this situation as quickly as possible. But of course, that is something that I heard through the grapevine through certain people. Okay. But she has only been heard from her attorneys, filed a motion earlier this year to dismiss a subpoena that would force her to testify as part of a suspect in the BK defense. Okay. Funky, however, later agreed to sit down in an interview with the suspect's attorneys. It is unclear what has happened or what came out of it. It's still a mystery why Mortensen and Funky took so long to call police on the night of the tragedy. Okay. Now, they say we don't know if it was an issue of intoxication or of fear. That is what the law enforcement has been said to have given to the Post in January. This whole thing is extremely tragic. You got 2 people that survived this huge tragedy, and they want to live their life. They want to keep moving. They have to. That's the only thing we can do in life. They can't just sit and linger and dwell on the past. They have to continue moving. They also need that time to heal, which is going to take a lifetime, especially for something so traumatic. It's going to take a lifetime for them to actually heal. But I do understand why all of us have questions on what actually happened. Who was it really? Bryan Kohberger? Is it not really Bryan Kohberger? I mean, there's so many different questions that we got, y'all. I got questions, okay? We want to know what happened, why there wasn't a phone call until noon, why several hours later they called 911. What happened between the time of their demise to the time that 50 showed up? What happened there? Did she really go? Did Dylan go really go into a frozen shock phase? Was she intoxicated? Was she under the influence? Was Bethany under the influence? I think all of us want to know all of these all of these questions. We all want these questions answered. But unfortunately, we're not going to get that until we see Bryan Kohberger actually go into court, until we actually see a trial. Then everything is going to be unearthed. You know, it's really wild to me that this happened a year ago. It feels like it happened 2 months ago, in my personal opinion. This year has gone by so fast. And obviously, all of us are still heavily affected by what happened to those four. And there is a mystery. Is Bryan Kohberger really the man? Did he do it alone? What happened during those hours after the passing of these four young students? What happened? What was the dialogue? What was the text messages that went on between Bethany and Dylan? I feel like we all want to know those things. But also, I do feel that it's totally understandable that these two moved on. And I don't mean moved on in that kind of way. I mean, they just moved somewhere else. How can you go back to a place where hell on earth actually materialized right there in your own home, in the place that you should be feeling the most safe at? I don't blame them for moving away. And I can only imagine. I'm not surprised if they're living very low profiles, probably doing a lot of gaming online, like I'm sure that Dylan is allegedly doing right now, probably doing a lot of classes online. Shoot, I wouldn't be surprised if there's agoraphobia going on with these two. Let's be real. This is a terrifying situation. And I'm sure they might think that they still got a hit on their heads too, because they got so lucky, right? They got lucky enough to survive this tragedy. Listen, guys, it is devastating. It is a sad story. And I'm hopeful that they get time to heal. And I hope we get justice for these four. Actually, for these six. Because just because they survived does not mean that they are not victims of this terrible, terrible, terrible tragedy. I hope they get time to actually heal. By them moving on, moving away, I'm hoping that grants them as such, because that's what they deserve. Anyway, guys, that's the video. Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Again, my heart goes out to those two. You know, the scary stuff. I just feel like everywhere they go would be like high security at all times, or at least they're on high alert, head on a swivel every day. I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Anyway, guys, I digress. Hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Crush that follow button on my Facebook page if you're watching over there. It'd be great to have you a part of the Pascal Show family on both platforms. Anyway, it's time to get going, guys. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. And I'll see you guys in the next video. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.
Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.